get serious about building content sites and building a profitable business online? Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. We bring you the latest field-tested tips, tricks, and strategies for building a profitable online asset. We interview industry experts, share customer success stories, and reveal our own experiences working on hundreds of sites to inspire and motivate you to make something happen. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. Today we had BowTiedWookie. Now, if you're wondering why we're using the name BowTiedWookie, it's because he wants to remain anonymous. So if you're watching this on YouTube today, it'll be an audio-only version. If you're just listening as a normal podcast, then you're good to go, which is kind of lucky because I need a damn beard trim and maybe a haircut too. So it suits me at this time. But we run through some of his background and his current portfolio of websites. His main one that is currently making close to $1,000 a month, but we run through kind of how he does his reviews, his goals of growing the traffic, and his current revenue and traffic numbers. But the most interesting thing is his implementation of using a quiz. Now, he uses his quiz to sell his ebook digital product, but also to sell his affiliate products. And he was managed to 3x his income implementing this quiz within the first month. So that's something that's going to be useful for anyone who's listening to this, who has their own affiliate site or maybe selling their own digital products. We even dive into a bit into disavowing links. Obviously, it's a hot topic on and off, especially on Twitter. People are saying you don't need to disavow links because Google discredits spammy links anyway. But we run through some of his ideas on disavowing links, and especially within his 9-to-5 job where he's handling much larger websites. We also cover small things about the future of his websites, including things like adding an e-commerce store, among acquiring other sites. So enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by Niche Website Builders, an agency dedicated to helping people just like you build profitable content sites. Niche Website Builders are the hands-off content site marketing agency you always wished existed. It's run by content site marketers for content site marketers, and they help both investors and individuals alike build profitable online properties. They provide a fully outsourced approach to content creation, link building, and done-for-you website builds, the same approach they use on their own six-figure portfolios. For example, their content packages come with a proprietary keyword research process, are written by in-house native English speakers, formatted using templates proven to convert, and uploaded to WordPress with affiliate links added so that all you need to do is hit the publish button. Check them out at nichewebsite.builders/show. That's nichewebsite.builders/show and fill out the form to get coupon codes for 10% more content or a 10% discount on links with your first order sent right to your inbox.
Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. Today, we have a man that does not want to be identified, known as BowTiedWookie. Welcome, BowTiedWookie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
No, thanks for coming on. So for anyone watching on YouTube, today is an audio-only version, just to keep BowTiedWookie's, anonymous. But tell me, I see BowTied all over Twitter.
Yeah.
And I literally just found out, I think it was maybe 2 days ago, I realized it was like an NFT project.
Yeah, so it's definitely, that group's definitely heavy in crypto, but basically I would say that there's a lot of different people in it for a lot of different reasons, but it's more so a challenge of how good are you at Twitter if you're literally just a cartoon and nobody knows who you are. You're starting with no network, no friends. You're starting completely from scratch. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And my idea when I first started this, although I've pivoted kind of slightly, I wanted to talk about different tests I was running in my 9-to-5 job, which they would not have been cool with me tweeting about it. And the fact that I could be anonymous meant that I could give a lot greater detail about that. As my account kind of evolved or whatever, I started experimenting more with my own websites. I bought a website, and I don't talk a ton about my 9-to-5 anymore, although I do sometimes. But that was kind of my motivation. It was kind of like, if starting from zero, like, how good are you at Twitter if you're completely anonymous, and then also being able to give like a greater level of detail in what I was doing in my job without kind of like doxing what that site was, because it's in a competitive niche and our competitors for sure would have found it. So
So how did you get started into, I guess, building websites? Was your day job, I guess, down the similar road?
yeah, so my day job right now is as an SEO analyst. In college, I kind of got started with entrepreneurship and stuff by doing FBA, fulfillment, by Amazon. And I had some success with that. I don't know how deep we want to get into this, but I
Yeah,
did a
go
lot of
for it.
I did a lot of stuff well with that. One of the things I did not do well was patent research. And so I ended up getting a bunch of lawsuits thrown at me because I was selling products were going that were basically, they didn't have the patent yet, but it was pretty much guaranteed that they were going to get the patent. And me being young and naive, I was like, oh well, there's more than one of these being sold on Amazon, so the patent thing isn't an issue. But that's definitely not how that works. um so that was kind of like my foray into this stuff. And then kind of like learning from that, it's like, oh man, like, Amazon turned my products off. Like, it would be a lot better if I had like, my own web asset, and, you could sell on Shopify or Amazon or whatever. I also like, anybody who's sold on Amazon, especially now, would probably tell you like all the inventory problems there are, whether it's, late shipments or prices constantly going up. So after that, I did a pretty hard pivot into digital products. And so one of the first sites I created was basically like a create your own degree site. And it was meant to basically like scrape Udemy courses, and like, if you want to be an accountant but you couldn't afford to go to college, like, here are the 4 or 5 Udemy courses that you should take that like pretty much teach you all that stuff. And that did okay. I sold that website. I wish I didn't. I sold it a couple months before COVID and it was still really small. I, think in the back of my mind that had I held on to that for a couple more months, it could have blown up, but that's
Yeah.
life.
Damn. Okay. So you went from creating, I guess, Amazon FBA, a little affiliate site that you ended up selling. What's in your current portfolio now then?
Yeah, in our current portfolio, we have like one site that makes money, and we have like a couple of other age domains with content, but they generate no revenue. So right now we're working on like, we're head down on one site that we are working on and trying to like basically acquire a couple of smaller competitors is what our goal is like throughout 2022.
Gotcha. Well, let's start with the site then that's making money and kind of
Yep,
building from there. Did you start this one from scratch, or did you acquire it, or how did you go about, I guess,
I did
getting this
not.
site going?
So I for like 6 months I scoured Flippa and Empire Flippers and all these places for sites, and there was always a bit of unease. Not that, those aren't totally trustworthy platforms, that there's not, good sites on there, but I was a little sketched out when I would have conversations with the owners. It seemed like they just wanted to get out of them, at least in the price range I was in. And so I actually found this one on Twitter from Mushfiq, the
Mm.
website flip guy. So that
Shout
was
out
where
to Mishfik.
yeah,
He was
shout
on
out
the
to
last
Mushfiq.
episode.
Oh, was he really? That's too funny.
Yep. He'll be
Um,
released before this one.
oh no, that, yeah, he's all over the place, man. Um, but yeah, he, was constantly tweeting about sites or whatever, and I probably looked at 4 or 5 sites from him, and he wasn't like super pushy or aggressive or anything, which like was unlike being on Flippa. And the first 4 or 5 I passed on, and I saw this site, and he had done a case study about it on his website, and my kind of opinion on it when I saw it was, this thing is just so spammed with ads you like can't even read it. And so I was like, there's got to be something else you could do with this site. And like trying to like read through the content when I, put an ad blocker on there, whatever, I was like, man, this like site is actually good. It's just, it's like so, it's so plagued with ads. And it had a really good like digital product course that like wasn't getting many sales. Most of the sales from the site, when I was looking at it, were coming from ads. And so I was like, it's definitely risky, but I think if we cut the ads, we could instead put a lot more like, calls to action and pop-ups and all that stuff, we could like drive more people to the ebook or course or whatever you want to call it. And that was what we did, and it worked.
That's awesome. That's music to my ears because my sites I don't have display ads on either,
I know. I took
and
a look at those. I
that's
was I was
yeah.
impressed. When I saw the niche you're in, I was like, oh, I'm those are definitely going to be like ad sites. And I was like, wow, he's not running ads. That's impressive.
Yeah. Um, ever since listening to Miles Beckler, when was that?
I
Must have been
love Miles
sometime last year.
Beckler.
Yeah. Yeah. Ever since listening to that, when he's talking about not having ads on the site, blah, 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 I was like, all right, I'm cutting more. As well, when I put ads on my site the first time, I had like problems with like menu bars not coming out and all sorts of other crap. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I'll just, I'll just sell my own digital products and affiliate stuff instead.
Yeah, 100%. If you can, I mean, it doesn't work for everything, but if you can make it work, the site's just of higher quality. The one caveat I'll say to this, and this is kind of like what my partner and I have been talking about for quite a while, is like just because you don't like ads doesn't have to be an either or thing. Like there can be like a lot of supplemental content that you write just kind of like for expertise, authority, and trust purposes that, it might make sense to put ads on those pages because it's like, it's just never going to convert to anything, or there's,
Yeah.
nothing to put on there to make someone convert. And like on some pages, it might make sense to put ads. So, I mean, that is something that we're actively talking about because I mean, I looked at your sites. I know you know this. Like, if you want to like kill it, like you need to just write about everything in your niche. And there's just going
Yeah.
to be some pages in there that just aren't really monetizable. And so why not throw a couple of ads on there and make a little bit more money?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to just go through then, since you bought the site, maybe the revenue then, and maybe some of the traffic values if you have them, and then maybe where it's at now and how long that's been?
Absolutely. Let me pull it up real quick. Okay, I
And then,
got it.
and then maybe run through how you got there too, because that'd be
Yeah,
very
sure
interesting.
thing. So we bought the site in late October.
Okay.
And so we don't have full revenue for the month of October. I don't know exactly what it did because part of it was Mushfiq, part of it was me. But in September, it made $336. Um, the day we got
Was
the
that
site,
mainly from ads?
yeah, so it was $144 from Azoic, $90 from the digital product, $42 from Kindle, and $60 from Amazon Associates. So Azoic
Ah,
was
so
the
okay, so you
yeah,
sell
Azoic was the main
the
revenue driver.
ebook, you sell the ebook on Kindle and as the standalone file on the site as well.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
the the digital product on our site is a little bit different than the Kindle. So there's an ebook and some other stuff that comes with it. When you buy it from our
Mm,
site, it's just the ebook is the Kindle.
gotcha.
Um, and one thing I would throw out too, if anybody's thinking about it, and this is stuff we're starting to look at, like a lot of the like, search algorithms on a lot of these ebook courses are not competitive at all. Like if you just put something up there, you're probably on the first page for your like target keyword. Like people should be more aggressive if they're selling ebooks about like reposting that on other ebook platforms.
Interesting. So what's an example of an ebook platform then? You be talking about like Amazon Kindle, or are you talking a site that aggregates ebooks?
Yeah, so like sites that aggregate ebooks. So like I think ebooks.com is one. That is the main one that we have gotten sales from. Um, Another
Interesting.
one is Apple has one. Barnes and Noble has one, which we're like going through the process of getting onto there. There's another one called Lulu that we're on. If you just like Google these, I mean, it's literally like copy and paste. There's not like a ton of effort that needs to go into it, but it's just kind of like a way to get yourself out there on like additional, search engines where like honestly the traffic is pretty highly conversion based. Like if you're on like an ebook store and you're typing something in, like you're ready to buy.
Is this some special formatting you need? 'Cause obviously with Amazon Kindle, there's a formatting aspect. Is there a formatting aspect with any of these sites?
Most of them work just like with the Kindle version.
Okay.
So if you have it formatted in a Kindle version, you can upload it to these other ones.
Gotcha. Now that makes sense. All right, so you made $350 odd in the first month. So I guess now it's
336,
end
yeah.
of 336. It's now end of May, so it's been what, 7 months,
Yep.
7 8 months. All right. So what's the values at now?
So right now we're bouncing between, so our best, I'll take you through real quick what we did.
Yeah.
Um Before I get to that, because it'll make more sense. So we get the site, we cut ads immediately, which, in the short term at least tanks the revenue. We see that we see the sales start to go up on the digital product. So the next month, in the month of October, which was a partial month, we had $150 in sales just from the digital product. So the month before, Mushfiq had $90 in digital sales. In like a week and a half in October, we had $150. Um,
Damn.
the next month we went to 299. The month after that, we went to 419. The month after that, we went to 599. So now we're in January. So January was our best month of digital product sales. We did $599 worth, and that doesn't include Amazon Associates or Kindle. At this point, the ads are completely turned off. Um, that month was January was also our best month. We made $750. In February and March, we made $712, and then for the life of us, we couldn't figure out what happened, but our traffic went up in March and April, and we started making less money. The digital product just stopped converting.
The same happened to
Um,
me actually in March.
Really? So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we were trying to figure, I mean, whether it's, war or whatever, people just were not buying ebooks like the last 2 months or whatever. And so we were like racking our heads like, oh my God, what do we do? It was like worse than when we bought the site from Mushfiq. Um, and so that's how we started, racking our brains like what could we do? We tried running split tests, which like didn't really work. And I mean, from a performance standpoint, we ran the test. Um, but those weren't working. And so we came across a site which, like, pardon the language, but this site is like, I call it an SEO's wet dream. It's like my favorite site to look at, to just like get ideas and inspiration. It's called Sleepopolis. And they review mattresses. And this thing is like so hyper optimized. I just love looking at it. It's so genius. If you look into the history of it, they've been like sued by multiple mattress companies because they like acquired a bunch of mattress review sites and like basically had a monopoly on it. It's like everything I want to be. um, and so we hyper analyzed their site for what they were doing. One thing that we did is, I mean, if you just look at any one of their review posts, I don't know if you're on their site right now,
Yep, I'm
but
on it right
it is
now.
the it is like the best review post I've ever read in my entire life. Um, so we cloned that and started making review posts about that, which helped the affiliate sales a bit, not a ton, but a bit. We're going after more competitive stuff there, so it's still kind of ranking, but a lot of our content now is like based on the Sleepopolis method of brand reviews and product reviews. The other thing that they did, which is like the only bad thing on their website, is they have a quiz feature. That's basically like what mattress is best for you. And I was so disappointed when I took it. I was like, this is like the crappiest quiz I've ever taken. I can't believe theirs is that bad. Like everything else on this site is like so awesome. Um, and so from there I like went and took like 100 different like personality tests, you know every like online quiz I could find under the sun that would like give you, quote unquote personalized results. We took, and they all were kind of in line with Sleepopolis. Like no matter what you clicked or the choices you took, it was like maybe three different options
The highest
of.
paying ones.
Exactly. Yep. 100%. So it's like you're pretty much getting the same answer no matter what, and it's like not really helping. And so like we took a different approach to this, and we're in I don't want to get too deep into the niche, but we're in the skincare space. I don't like feel bad about talking about that. And we were basically like, look, there's like, basically, 8 categories that somebody could fall into if they're on our site. Um, let's like write an extremely customized result for like every one of these, and then we took it a step further and we were like, okay, we'll do it based on their diet too. So we have like 18 different categories now that based on, their diet, their age, their gender, and then like the type of skin condition they have, each one of those can give them like a personalized response that's like 5 to 600 words,
Mm.
with product recommendations. And then there's like an option to where, oh, if you don't want to, lose this info, go ahead and send it to your email. um and we launched that about 2 weeks ago, and it's killed it. It's basically brought our sales up to what they were like pre-February. um
Wow.
so last month, so we got 21 sales in the month of January, and then it like slid down to where we only had 7 sales in April. And in the last like 8 days, we've had 10 sales. So we've had more sales since we launched the quiz in the last 10 days than we did in the whole last month.
Wow. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions. I'm gonna run
Sure.
through them in order that I've that I've got
Yeah.
them written down here. Did your traffic increase while your revenue was increasing through that October to January period, or was that like
Yeah, it
similar
did.
traffic?
Yeah,
Okay.
so in October, the site was getting between 3 to 400 organic visits a day. I would say by January we were getting around 600 organic visits a day, and I would say now we're getting around 800 organic visits a day. So we basically like, we grew the traffic like another 25% or so since January, and like the revenue's gone down, which has been just super frustrating because it's like it seems like we're doing the right stuff, but that kind of gets back to the point where it's like, just because you're writing additional content doesn't mean that it's going to convert. And I think we kind of fell into that trap of like, oh, like this would be such a good way to like continue to build authority in these sub niches, or, oh, this is like really low competition. I bet we could, get some extra traffic. And like it did, and it worked, but like that didn't convert to dollars. You know what I mean?
So how's that changed your content strategy then? Are you now only targeting keywords that you think will convert into sales, or are you still hitting those, I guess, more informational keywords that aren't going to bring them into your ebook sales?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of like what the right way to answer that. So we will definitely write more, supplemental, basically eat Google content. But there was definitely a mindset shift, March and April, especially when it's like we're writing all this like, quote unquote good content, and it's not making money. And so it was kind of during that point in time that we really like took a extremely hard look at Sleepopolis and what they were doing. And so I would say for the next 2 or 3 months, the 95% plus of our content is going to be either reviews about brands or reviews about specific products, following their model and having it written by somebody who's like a certified medical expert in the field.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. I'm actually looking at some of their site at the moment. Yeah, as you're saying, it is very well laid out. For the people, I guess, who don't have access just to look at the site now and things like that, how are you then structuring your reviews to be, I guess, yeah, to essentially give that expertise, authority, and trust, other than having a medical expert review it? Is there a certain way or template that you're using?
Yeah, for sure. So again, one of the best things you could do, I would say, is like go to the site and, I don't know if it's their about page or they have an author page, but like they have like 30 doctors that they say are on staff, which I just find to be like hilarious, but like they're all the authors of
Yeah.
the posts. They have, like whether it's a sleep doctor, a neurologist, or whatever, but basically, we don't really rank say we're doing like, top 10 face moisturizers. We're not, saying, oh, this is the best one, this is the second best one. We're going more niche with each one. So it's like, this is the best face moisturizer for aging skin. This is the best face moisturizer um, for someone with psoriasis. And so,
Mm,
like, each product that we review in the macro post is like the best for a certain subset of condition. And then within there, we're having somebody, whether it's a testimonial from Reddit, a testimonial that we found on Amazon, or one of our own writers writing a testimonial. We're writing as though it's a personalized review for each one. And obviously, the writer isn't using all 10 face creams or whatever, so we're supplementing with quotes from, Reddit, Amazon, or other review places.
Gotcha. Yeah. Barbend.com is another good example that do that with their fitness product reviews. So instead of just having the top 10 best, no, no, barbells or whatever, it's best barbell for weightlifting, best barbell for CrossFit, whatever it is, just like you
Nice. Yep.
mentioned. And that's all within that big article. And then obviously, do you plan to create, I guess, smaller ones? So if you're saying best skin cream for acne within the big macro best skincare, are you going to also create a best skin cream for acne post itself as well?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
so I get what you're saying. So like we're even more targeted than that. Like it would be like, the 10 best face creams for fungal acne, or the 10,
Okay.
and then from there it would be like, the best face cream for fungal acne if you have dry skin, if you have oily skin, if you have existing acne scars, if you're on Accutane. So like stuff like that. So like we're starting like in the sub niche of acne, or that's where I would start, because something like acne is like so competitive to rank for. um Again, it depends on the domain authority of the site, or whether or not you really believe the metrics that Hrefs and SEMrush are doing. We're like in the high 30s, low 40s, depending on like what tool you're using, whether it's Moz, Hrefs, or SEMrush. So yeah, I would say, we wouldn't even be going after something like that general, that competitive. Like we would start niche down, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, that makes sense. So, do you currently have, I guess, medical doctors writing or reviewing the content? Because I'm just because you're already making some good sales and obviously bringing in some great traffic in a
Yep.
essentially a YMYL niche. So, what is it that you're doing that's essentially allowing you, or what do you think is allowing you to get that traffic?
Yeah, so we don't have doctors writing. We have licensed medical people though. So like, nutritionists, nurses, stuff like that. Getting the doctors to write is so expensive. I haven't like gone that far yet, but yeah, we're having like credentialed people with like some sort of medical credentials that like have a legit LinkedIn, that like work at a real place writing it.
Gotcha. Okay, no, that makes sense. That's yeah,
Yep.
it's an interesting, um, I guess, area that the whole expertise thing, like, because how are you then? I guess you're just linking back within the article to the author bio on your site, or are you
Correct.
linking to their like LinkedIn or social?
So the article will link to their author page, and then their author
Yeah,
page goes to their LinkedIn or socials or whatever.
gotcha, gotcha.
So yeah, I'm not linking out to their LinkedIn on every post.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yep.
So, so with coming to the quiz, so you
Yep.
mentioned you basically three extra income with these quizzes.
Yeah, so I mean, whether you want to say 3x, like, it's about where it was in January, but we lost those sales. And so this kind of like we kind of like I feel like clawed our way back to where we were in January with this, but versus last month, yeah, we 3x'd our sales in like 10 days.
Well,
And the
I'm gonna
month.
call it 3x because it's better for the YouTube title.
Okay, that sounds good. Um but yeah, the quiz thing I feel like is there's the easy way to do it, and there's the right way to do it, and like every site I've seen online chooses the easy way to do it.
So
um
what's the
we
easy way? What is this way that is just shocking? Is it only offering a few products at the end, or is there more to it?
Yeah, so I mean, like there's like a lot of our competitors that also have quizzes, and no matter what your answer combination is, it's just going to be like, hey, you should try this product.
Mm.
And there's just a cookie cutter paragraph and a cookie cutter product that no matter what you answer, that same, variation or whatever is gonna appear no matter what. And I'm sure it converts to an extent. Like some people are like, oh, cool, but and again, people in the marketing and SEO space are way different, but like if you're anything like me, you're taking it 6 or 7 times trying to see like if what answer you change gets you a different result, and then you're like, what the hell? No matter what I say, it's the same. It's recommending the same thing. Like this is bullshit.
Yeah,
Um,
gotcha.
so so yeah, so our approach was, I mean, I think there's I want to say 55 like 2 to 3 sentence paragraphs that could be pulled in dynamically depending on what your answers are, and there could be up to 10 in there could be up to 10 of those like merged together in a results page, and I think we have something like 45 products that could be recommended too.
Wow. Okay, how how are you piecing this together then, and how are you choosing what comes up, I guess, at the end based on the answers? Because I could imagine trying to put something like that together would
It was
be,
daunting.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was really tedious. It took us about 2.5 weeks to do. I would say if we did it again now, knowing what we know, it would only take us about a week. But basically, we compiled all the possible questions from like all the competitor quizzes, and then we like basically took like what are the most like frequent questions asked on Reddit. So we just looked at like what was being upvoted the most, like over like the last, I don't know, like 6 months or whatever. We took those questions, we tried to answer them to the best of our ability. We hired then one of the like medical experts that writes articles for us. We had them review it to make sure that nothing we said was incorrect, which a couple things were, because I'm not, I've learned a lot, as I think anyone would, building a site. But definitely not an expert to the point where it's like I want to recommend products for like, medical conditions. So paid them to like basically go through it for like 2 hours and like mark where we were right and where we were wrong. And then it was like 3 or 4 days of just like looking at all the different answer combinations and like, okay, how does this sew together to go into a flow?
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't even imagine trying to piece that together to come up with answers
Yeah, and
based
so
on
I gotta
questions.
I gotta give a quick shout out too to Bowtied Plug. He's the guy who runs this site with me or whatever. He's like a wizard with plugins. This is a plugin is what actually makes this quiz or whatever. So it's not like we completely custom built it. But he was kind of like the mastermind architect behind sewing it together.
Do you have a recommended quiz plugin for anyone that is maybe looking to go down this road?
Yeah, we do. So Revenue Hunt has a quiz. Let me see what the name of it is real quick. Revenue Hunt Quiz Builder is what it's
Okay.
called, and it's free. That's the crazy part about it. I can't.
Mm,
It's free for like your first like 200 quiz. Like the first 200 people that take it, and then I think they charge something. But the fact that you could like set something up this powerful for free is kind of crazy, because like I think we could have been scared off by it if it was like, oh, you have to pay to start using it or whatever. Like you can take as much time as you need to like build the quiz, like run a beta test on it to where it's like not live on the site, but you can like send it out to people um to have them like test it and like look at what the answers are or whatever. So, for example, you don't have to have it live on the site, but like you could post it on social media and people could take it on there and you could kind of get like a little beta test of what the results are. So it's extremely powerful, but if you want to do it the right way, take a it does take a lot of thought and a good amount of time, but you know, we busted our asses on it, and it like got us back to like basically I I would think that this will be tied with our top revenue month. It'll be pretty close.
awesome. So where are you placing this quiz on your website? Is this like a separate standalone page, or is this within the content homepage?
Yeah, so the test, we're getting ready actually to like start our second version of the split test this evening actually. But right now there's a bar on the header, which so far basically nobody clicks on, and then we have an embed under the fourth H2 on each blog.
Mm,
and the embed is what everybody's clicking on. So right now we're running all different kinds of like, artwork or ads or whatever to try and like increase the click-through rate. And the craziest part about this is like we're still getting like a less than 1% click-through rate on this, and it tripled our revenue. So I mean, like, we're super bullish on like, man, if we can just like, get the click-through rate on this up to like 2 or 3%, like, the site's going to be making a couple $1,000s a month easy.
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting. So, with the answers with the quiz, how often then are you promoting the digital products? I'm assuming that's kind of you kind of want most of the sales with the digital products. You obviously have your highest margins, but
Yep.
obviously that's not always going to be the correct answer based on the quiz question. So how often are you recommending that versus another affiliate product?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We took a leaf out of Sleepopolis's book on that one. So like basically it'll start with like a little intro paragraph, and then it'll go through like three types of products that are recommended based on what the answer is. And then at the end there's kind of like an upsell where it's like, if you found any of this useful, you should probably check out, the digital product as well, so that the digital
Okay.
product is shown on every result, but it's at the bottom. So you kind of get the more customized stuff at the top, but there is like a little plug for the digital product at the end of every result.
Okay, that
That's
makes
the
sense.
only
Yeah.
thing that's cookie cutter on all of it. So yeah, you're
That,
100% correct. We want
yeah.
people buying that more than anything.
So you're essentially just getting their eyes on the product, regardless of them taking the quiz.
Yep, exactly. Um, yeah, that's exactly right.
So where else on the site then is the digital product? Do you have any other ways for them to buy the digital product other than just a straight sales page?
So we have it linked in like all in almost all of our blog posts. We have kind of like a call to action at some point where it's like, hey, like, if you're struggling with this, like, this digital product is probably like a good fit for you or whatever. We also, have email capture, set up with different uh pop-ups and a couple of lead magnets that are like placed on different subcategories of the site. And so the ebook is and course are hit pretty hard in that email sequence. Although we I would say we definitely have yet to crack the code on emails. That's like definitely something that is neither of our fortes. We get a couple of sales from email, but like we basically just have a email sequence, and like we try to write a newsletter once a month, but like, you know, being honest, like it's not impressive. there's a lot of there's a lot of improvement to be done on email for sure.
Yeah, it's tough because it's another skill to learn essentially.
Yeah, and just like, constantly, creating new content, um, writing the new content for it, and, not wanting to repeat anything that you said in the intro sequence, which you kind of feel like is your, most valuable info that
Hmm.
want to give them or whatever. So yeah, it's email marketing is legit, and we're definitely beginners at it. So
How how's your intro sequence structured then? Is it over a week? Do you have kind of like a different I don't want to say I guess we'll just call it theme each day in terms of what you're covering? Like is day one just kind of like a welcome, day two introducing who you are, day three solving a problem or something like that?
yeah, so it goes like, intro, like common problems, and then I think there's like a testimonial, and then there's like, surprising things you didn't know, and then I think there's another testimonial, and then there's like, why we created the digital product. That's basically what our email sequence is. We send an email basically every other day, I think, for 12 days. So I think our email
Hmm.
sequence is 6 emails. I could be wrong about that. Again, we're not good at it. We just like made that and kind of like set it and forget it. And
Yeah,
that's definitely something that we need to focus on more this summer.
that's optimizing for another time.
Yeah, yeah. But the other thing too is, we don't mandate that people who take the quiz uh provide their email, but like our email capture is like almost doubled since doing this.
Interesting.
So that's
So I
like
guess
kind
they
of
you, like they take the quiz and then kind of trust what you're saying and then want to learn more and join the email list.
It's not even that. We just like so maybe we shouldn't be doing this either. That actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this like might be illegal. um, but when they, when they get the results or whatever, we tell them, if you want to save these results, give us your email. And when they give us the email, we're
Ah,
just gonna
yeah.
put it in the email sequence. I don't know if you're actually supposed to do that or not, but that's what we did.
I think you just need a disclaimer, don't you? Or some. Maybe people shouldn't listen to us on here about this.
Yeah, yeah. This is not the email. This is not the email guy. Don't listen to me.
I want to actually touch on as well. You posted recently on Twitter about disavowing links. Obviously, this is a hot topic
Yep.
that comes and goes. People will say you don't need to disavow links because Google just discredits, I guess, spammy or bad links.
Yep.
So, what's your experience doing this, and what essentially why are you doing it?
Yeah, for sure. So we did not do that for this site. We did it for the site I work in, like my day job, my 9 to 5 job. And I would say that, 95% of sites don't need to worry about this, like unless they get something in their GSC account that's like you've had a manual penalty for something. Um, but if you have a gigantic site, which is like the site that I work for, and it's in an extremely competitive niche, which it is, and it's in an extremely spammy niche, which it is, then you need to like consider that. And so like honestly, one of the biggest learnings from this is like there are extreme gaps in Ahrefs and SEMrush when it comes to your backlink profile. So I use a tool called Link Research Tools. It's very expensive. I think it's like around 2,000 or $2,500 a month. They
Oh,
found, yeah, they found though like 5x the domains and backlinks that Ahrefs and SEMrush were reporting.
okay. So that's like you're paying for what you get then.
Yeah, you're paying for what you get there. So like again, for most sites, I don't think you need to mess with this at all. But again, when it's like a site getting millions of visits a week and there's definitely competitors who are out there trying to screw with you, then it's like, okay, we need to like consider this or whatever. And so basically like it lets you, you can create rules in the disavow, for example, like, if the URL, contains the word porn, disavow. They also have kind of like, instead of domain authority, they have what they call like link power and link trust, which kind of allows you to break up, the link juice aspect from the how much does Google trust it aspect. And from there you can kind of peel back the onion and be like, are we getting a lot of, link juice from, sites that are in PBNs, sites that, they're all coming from like the same, IP address or IP block. Um, so different stuff like that. I don't know like how deep in the weeds we want to get here, but I would say like for the average person, you definitely don't need to disavow. But when it's a big site in a like really spammy niche, you should at least take a look at it. And so on Ahrefs, it said that we had around 15,000 or so like referring domains, and on this and in the disavow file we created, we're disavowing 16,000 domains.
Okay, so your whole backlink profile on Ahrefs is gone
No, Ahrefs didn't
then.
detect
No,
any of them.
yeah.
It'll be unchanged, and Ahrefs doesn't even know any of these. They didn't even pick up any of these sites. Um, So again, that's like a very scary number, but I think it does, when you compare it to what's in Ahrefs and SEMrush, and you're like, oh my God, like these two aren't picking this up at all. I think that gives you a much higher degree of confidence that it's like gonna be this isn't gonna be that big of a deal, hopefully. And we'll see what happens. I will say that, when I like presented that or whatever, like pretty much everybody in the call shit their pants. They're like, "Oh my God, that's so much." But when you kind of like, go through it and like, show how you made the rules and stuff, it's not that scary. So again, we plan to upload it next week. Um, and whether it helps or hurts or does nothing, I don't know. My guess is it's gonna do nothing. Um, But yeah, if you have like any more specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I just like I don't want to bore everybody like
No, it's
going
interesting.
through the school.
I would love for you to go deeper on this because this is learnings for me too, and I'm sure a lot of people listening don't have too much knowledge about disavowing because everyone's just told, don't worry about it. So it's interesting to hear. But how do you how do you decide what you're going to disavow other than maybe, as you mentioned, the rule like depending on different words that are kind of being linked back to the site or in the domain?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, when you get into the tool, it'll do like a full crawl of your site and all the backlinks that it can find, and it'll basically it gives you like 20 buckets. And it starts with like, these are the links that we believe are like the most malicious intent, down to like the ones where it's like, this is just kind of spam, this probably isn't that big a deal, but we want you to look at it anyway. So the tool is really helpful in that, and that it kind of, prioritizes what its, internal alarm sounds off the hardest. Um, and so starting from there, you know, um, I would say the biggest the biggest thing that it started to flag was like adult content, that kind of stuff. Also like gambling. Then it gets into more interesting stuff where it's like a site that shares the IP address as this domain that was linking to you got a Google penalty in the past, which
Hmm.
that's like really powerful. I don't like know if everybody knows exactly what that means, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
basically it's like, it's basically saying, somebody the person who owns this site owns another site who had a Google penalty, which it's like I didn't even
Hmm.
know it was possible to figure that out. You know what I mean? Without like going through hundreds of pages of DNS records or something.
Yeah. Okay, so
So that
those like the main rules that you're looking at then.
Yeah, I mean, I can send you a sheet. There's like 70 rules that like create their algorithm based on what they flag. Those are like a couple examples. I'm trying to think what else. There's something else that like goes on a lot where like it'll be, say 70 different domains. They're not identical IP addresses, but like they all have like the same block of code on them or whatever. That can be identified. And when you go open up each one of those domains, like they're the exact same website.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, so that's kind of another like really, weird example that like I didn't even know existed. Like it was literally 70 domains and they were like carbon copies of each other. Um, that it identified. But yeah, I mean, I would say the easy way to think about the tool is like it can find out if a site that's linking to you has kind of like been a part of like a bad practice. And it's pretty accurate about it, but again, it's really expensive. And the $64,000 question is how good is Google at actually finding this stuff? You know what I mean? So like that's what we're gonna find out is like, does Google look at that and go, oh, that's no big deal? Or like, are we getting, some sort of penalty or getting held back in some way because they think that we're building those links for some reason. So it could have been a really useless exercise that took me several days, but it was interesting to learn about.
Fair enough. If I knew more about this disavowing links and whatnot, I probably have more questions for you on this. But currently, that's all I have for you on disavowing. But I wanted to know, with your current site, the
Yes.
future for it. How I guess what are your future plans to continue growing the revenue? Are you planning on creating more products, or are you just focused on traffic to try and convert the traffic into buying this current digital product?
Yeah, 100%. Um, so there's a couple of things that we're looking at. There are two products that we have kind of flagged is that we believe that we could make this product really well. We don't think it would be terribly difficult to have manufactured. I think we want to have a little bit more traffic before we go down that route. Um, in the next, quarter or whatever, I think we really want to get the quiz humming. So that, means making the answers that people get better. I mean, we spent a lot of time on those answers, but like that could definitely be improved. And then split testing, where does it appear on the page, and kind of what is the, creative that people see that get them to click on it. So I think that like this summer is going to be the main focus. We have several competitors who sell um who sell, similar digital products, and they haven't posted at all this year. And so we're definitely interested in trying to buy them.
Mm.
They're slightly smaller than us. And quite frankly, like over, I would say the last 2 or 3 months, they've lost a lot of traffic, which I mean, that's kind of what happens when you don't post for 6 months. Um, so I think, acquiring one of those sites would be really interesting. And then, also kind of like looking at, would people be an affiliate for us where like they would take our, they would put our quiz on their site, like, other competitors. Cause even the two that like don't post much or whatever, like they were way bigger than us when we started, and like now we're like a bit bigger than them. I can't, and they don't run ads either. So I think trying to find other sites in our niche that like aren't running ads and don't seem to be doing a lot, and seeing if we can either A, buy them, or B, get them to start like running our quiz on their site.
Interesting. So what would you do then if you acquired one of these sites? What would you do with their digital product? Would you sell their digital product along with yours?
My guess is probably no. We would probably take parts of their digital product and put it into ours and make it better. With two of the ones that we're looking at, we would definitely like merge them onto our domain. For another one of them, they like have the same stuff as us, so I might actually just try to keep that as a separate site. So it would kind of depend on what we want to do there. And like what the exact site was. But if we were merging the site onto our site, we would definitely only sell one digital product, and we would, just kind of combine them. If we were keeping a separate site, I would probably just let that product run. And maybe put our quiz on there and see what happened.
Gotcha. So that would almost be like kind of like your own mini network of sites in the same niche to try essentially try to take over that niche on Google, and you can kind of have it all linked back to sell the same product.
Yeah, that's the idea. And I mean, I've watched through case studies. I've watched Mushfiq do this.
Yeah.
So, like it, this definitely isn't like, my idea. Like other people have done this, and it works, but it is kind of like, fascinating. We have this one site now, and like if we, say we bought one other site, like the other sites then become so much more valuable to me personally, because I want them, you know
Mm.
what I mean? So it's almost like I'm gonna have to start throwing up like, I already have a fake identity, but additional fake identities to try to like acquire these things under the radar. Because somebody could have a blog that's not making much money or whatever, but to somebody with a, you know, multiple other affiliate sites in that niche or an e-commerce store, like I mean, it could be really, really valuable. Um,
Yeah.
so I think there's a ton of potential, and I think there's, at least in our niche, um I think there's a lot of struggles to like monetize outside of like Amazon. I mean, just from what I'm seeing, I mean, there's stuff out there, but there aren't, finding a great affiliate deal takes a ton of work. And like a lot of these people, are just worried about the site, and they're like, okay, well, Amazon's easier, so I'm just going to use that. So I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there for people who are willing to like put in the work to find good affiliate deals. I feel like a lot of people in our niche specifically have kind of like, they've made an 8 out of 10 website, but they've done like a 2 out of 10 job on like, finding the right affiliates.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same or similar path in terms of building almost like a network of sites in our niches to try take it over and sell our own products. But I really like your idea of manufacturing your own products, and I've been thinking about the same thing for a while, trying to figure out, you know, kind of like how I'll go about and what I'll do. Your current site is on WordPress, I'm assuming. How would you
Yeah.
set up your store for your, I guess, for your skincare products? Would you just tack on a Shopify site, or would you run it through WooCommerce on the actual WordPress?
I think this might be like very unpopular, so you let me know what you think of this, because this might be a terrible idea. But my initial reaction would be to try and sell it on Amazon and just post an affiliate link to myself.
Hmm. Yeah. No, that's another way I've heard of people doing it as well. Yeah, well, I haven't sold on Amazon, so I would never clue. You're the one with the Amazon FBA experience.
Gotcha. Yeah, people just seem to be so anti-Amazon these days, or I didn't know if there was like a reason where it's like definitely don't do that, but at least to start, that seems like a great way to just, you have no fulfillment worries after it gets to the Amazon warehouse.
Do you think that'll thin your margins? I guess the question would be: do you think the increased potential conversion rate of going on Amazon would offset the reduced margins from selling on Amazon versus maybe selling on Shopify or WooCommerce?
There would definitely be bigger margins on those two things, but I think just in terms of the headache and ease, Amazon would be where I would want to start.
Yeah. Otherwise, you
Um,
either be shipping it yourself or you have to go through like a 3PL or something like that.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think starting it on Amazon would be I just have a higher comfort level with that. One, because if I know I can drive sales with something, then I know it's going to pick up additional sales organically on Amazon. And then like once you've kind of validated that the product works, then it's like you can put the you can put the effort into like, okay, do we need to like, ship this out of the basement for like a couple of months? Like, do we need to like go integrate with a 3PL? Do we need to move to Shopify? Like those are I would be scared to like, move the site to Shopify or something if I didn't know 100% that it was going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas if I started it on Amazon and I kind of like verify that no, we can like drive sales of this product and like this is going to work, that gives me like a higher comfort level to go do something like that.
Is there a minimum like item quantity that you have to be able to sell out of Amazon?
No, I don't think so. I think you could send one unit of something in.
Okay.
I don't know why you would. That would be a waste of money
Yeah.
with shipping, but I think you could literally send one product in.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. 'Cause I was just thinking now if there was some kind of minimum quantity you need to sell out of there versus maybe selling out, from your home or whatever it is. But yeah, as you mentioned, Amazon deals with all the headaches then, and even I guess the returns as well, right?
Yeah, so they would deal with the returns, they would deal with all the customer service. They would handle all of it. And again, you're definitely going to have less of a margin by doing that, but again, like, changing the site from WordPress to Shopify or like, spending all this time with a 3PL. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I've never used a 3PL, so I don't know if that's like actually a lot of work. That sounds daunting to me as we talk about it. Maybe it's easy. But those things make me more hesitant to do it, where it's just like, if I know we can make something good, it it just like seems like okay, like, we can try this test, we can like order a sample batch, we can put it on Amazon and we can see what happens. And Amazon in and of itself is a search engine, so at that point too, you're not completely reliant on your own traffic to make the sales. Like Amazon, you could get sales just organically from Amazon. So I think from just like you know getting to break even, Amazon is probably better for a test. um but I'm happy to be proven wrong by that if
Hmm.
somebody has a different opinion, or somebody who's done this wants to set me straight.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing too. Like obviously, if you're selling through your site and you start making a lot of sales, you get customer ratings, and then you start, I guess, moving up the Amazon ranks within whatever that product category you're in. If you start ranking high enough on, say, the first page of Amazon when people are searching, you're just gonna make you're just gonna make extra sales without website traffic.
Right, exactly. So the way I look at like a test batch of doing physical products is like we're verifying demand and we're trying to not lose money.
Mm,
As long as it's like not going to be a negative, like I kind of don't mind the fact that Amazon's going to eat more margin.
yeah, I don't know. That's a great way of looking at it too. But I think I've asked you all the questions that I had. And we're coming up to an hour. So, is there anything else you wanted to maybe add to the conversation that we didn't cover?
Sure, I have a question for you if you don't mind.
Yep, go for it.
Yeah, so you have, that I know of at least, you have two different sites.
Yeah,
I assume you link back and forth between them?
yep. They're linked together on the footer.
Oh, okay. That shows
Yeah.
the homework I did. Does that worry you at all?
It did initially, and then I can't remember what podcast. I was listening to some podcast, um, and they mentioned about actually I think it was the SEO Fight Club podcast with Ted Kubitis. I think it was that one.
Okay.
and they mentioned
Yeah.
about linking between sites and how it's pretty much not a problem. And then I was looking at a couple of other sites in a similar niche that had basically all their sites linked together on the footer. And I was like, well, if these sites are all doing it, there can't be anything wrong with it. It's not like they're, trashy sites just spamming. And so I
Yep.
just kind of put them together in the footer, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago now or something, but I've only seen positive benefits from doing it.
Nice. That's awesome. One
Yeah.
one other quick question I have for you is, you know, maybe it might be different with both your sites, but what is like the breakdown of spending money on getting links versus spending money on content for you? Like just percentage wise, you don't
Um,
have to give actual numbers.
I don't, yeah. I don't buy either really. So I
Oh,
pretty much
okay.
I write all my own content except for I have one writer on one of my sites that I pay like $30 an article, and that's about it. On the other side, yeah, I don't pay for any content. I've got quite a few friends and contacts within, because that's kind of like my career niche anyway. So friends and
Yep.
contacts that I get to do some stuff. Other than that, yeah, and then links. I'm trying out a niche website builders package at the moment. So if anyone's interested in getting links or content, hit up niche website builders, of course. And I'm getting some links from them at the moment. So yeah, I mean, I usually use Harrow for a lot of my link building stuff because it's
Yep.
kind of like in my area, I guess career niche as well. So I have the expertise to show, hey, this is my LinkedIn, blah blah
Right.
blah. But yeah, and then obviously I usually get my links as well from people reaching out to me. So people will reach out to me for guest posts or links, and then if their site's good, I'll ask for a reciprocal link, basically.
Awesome. Dope. Yeah,
Yeah.
the only other thing I would add is that if you are interested at all in the quiz thing and think it might be for you, we posted like a really in-depth tutorial of how to set it up on my Substack. So shameless plug for that, but that's like the most recent uh article on our Substack is like a walkthrough of exactly how to set up this quiz if you want to do it on your website.
Actually, I just saw I got that email too, so I have a read through that. But if
Oh.
anyone wants to
Nice.
find you, whereabouts can
Yeah.
they find you on social?
BowTiedWookie on Twitter, and then the Substack is linked in my bio on Twitter. So yeah, that's the only place that I'm active right now. So yeah, those are the two best places.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it you having me. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Until the next episode, goodbye.